2 nights ago, I walked into the garage to grab some duct tape. That's all. It was supposed to be 5 seconds in and out. But when I flicked on the light, my eyes landed on a plain cardboard box sitting on Jessica's side of the garage, right next to her car. It was not unusual for her to leave her things everywhere. Jessica was chaos personified. Shoes scattered in the hallway, coffee cups left in the bathroom. But this box was different. It was taped shut, labeled only with a single word scrawled and sharp. Memories. Something about that word caught me off guard. I could not say why, but I felt like I was staring at a trap I was not meant to step into. I turned away, ready to leave it alone, when something else caught my eye. A scrap of red fabric sticking out of one side of the box. Jessica did not wear red. She hated the color, said it clashed with her skin tone. Felt like an itch I could not scratch. Against my better judgment, I knelt down, pulled at the fabric, and the tape peeled away with it. The box flaps opened just enough for me to see what was inside. The first thing I noticed was a man's leather jacket. Too big to be mine, too worn to be new. Beneath it, a cheap necklace with a gaudy heart pendant that looked like something from a gas station. My hands moved faster than my brain as I dug deeper. A photograph slipped out from under the jacket, landing face up on the concrete floor. Jessica, smiling. In some bar I did not recognize. Her arms wrapped around a man I'd never seen before. My stomach dropped. It was not just the way they stood so close, or how her head tilted toward his shoulder in that effortless, intimate way. It was her face. I had not seen her smile like that in years. Not like she was just happy, but like she was free. The air felt too heavy to breathe. I do not remember standing up or walking back into the house. But suddenly I was in our kitchen, staring at my reflection in the microwave door. The photo still clutched in my hand. That's when I heard her car pull into the driveway. Jessica walked in a moment later, looking every bit the polished woman I thought I married. She set her purse on the counter, barely glancing at me as she kicked off her shoes. "You home early," she said casually, pulling a bottle of sparkling water from the fridge. I did not respond. Instead, I slid the photo across the counter toward her. She froze her hand halfway to the bottle cap. "What the hell is this, Jessica?" My voice came out quieter than I expected, but every word hit like a hammer. Her eyes darted to the photo, then back to me. For a split second, I saw a panic flash across her face before it disappeared, replaced by something colder. "Where did you find that?" she asked, her tone sharp. "The garage," I said, in a box labeled Memories. "Care to explain why you cuddled up to some guy I've never met?" She rolled her eyes and let out a laugh. A laugh. "Oh, come on, Ryan. That's from years ago, before we even got married. Why are you digging through my stuff? Anyway, do not turn this around on me," I snapped, slamming my hand on the counter. "This is not about the box. It's about you lying to me." Her expression shifted again. This time to exasperation. She tossed the photo back at me like it was trash. "Lying? Are you serious? You being paranoid, Ryan? That photo means nothing. He was just a friend." God, you so dramatic sometimes. Dramatic. That word set something off inside me. "Then why hide it?" I asked, my voice rising now. "Why the box? Why the jacket? If it's all so innocent, why does it feel like you've been hiding a whole other life from me?" Jessica stared at me for a long moment, her jaw tightening. And then she did something I'll never forget. She smirked. Not a nervous smile. Not a regretful grimace. A full-blown, unapologetic smirk. "You really want to go down this road, Ryan?" she said, leaning against the counter with a confidence that made my blood run cold. "Because trust me, you're not going to like what you find." That was the moment I realized two things. First, Jessica was not going to give me answers, not without a fight. And second, I was not sure I wanted them. But it was too late now. The box was open. The day after I found the box, Jessica acted like nothing had happened. She hummed as she made her morning coffee. asked if I needed anything from the store, and even kissed me on the cheek before heading out, for supposed brunch with the girls. Her calmness only infuriated me more. It was as if my discovery and the confrontation had been a figment of my imagination. I spent the morning pacing the house, replaying her smirk over and over in my head. That smug confidence, the way she did not even bother to deny it outright. It all felt like a dare. By the time I got to the garage, I was shaking. The box was still there, untouched, but now it felt like Pandora's box. I did not want to open it again, but my anger overpowered my hesitation. I ripped it open fully this time, pulling out everything piece by piece. A pile of receipts from restaurants I'd never been to. Concert tickets from a band I did not even know she liked. A set of Polaroids. Jessica sitting on a man's lap. Both of them grinning like idiots. And then I found the worst of it. A handwritten note, scrawled on the back of a hotel notepad. Last night was incredible. I see not stop thinking about you. See not wait to see you again. B. Who the hell was B? My head spun as I tried to piece it together. The jacket, the photo, the note. It all pointed to something ongoing. Something she had not buried in the past like she claimed. Then my phone buzzed. It was a text from Jessica. Forgot to tell you. I'll be back late. Do not wait up. Love you? Love you? The words hit like a slap in the face. I stared at the message for a long time. The anger boiling in my chest until it burned. I needed answers. And if she was not going to give them to me, I'd find them myself. I grabbed her laptop from the office. Fully aware that what I was doing crossed every boundary we had ever set in our marriage. But this was not about trust anymore. It was about truth. It did not take long to crack her password. Jessica was nothing if not predictable. Her go-to was our anniversary. The first thing I checked was her email. There were dozens of messages, mostly mundane, but one thread stood out. A conversation with someone named Brandon K. I clicked it. My heart pounding so hard it felt like it might burst. The first message was from months ago. Hey babe, thinking of you, let us do another weekend at the cabin soon. Her reply, I'd love that. Let me figure out my schedule. See not wait to see you again. The emails went on and on, each one more damning than the last. Photos of them together, messages about their time in hotels, plans for future trips. And then I saw it, a recent email sent just 2 days ago. Brandon, I see not do this anymore. I'm feeling guilty about Ryan. Call me when you can. The guilt, not regret, not shame, just guilt about getting caught. I slammed the laptop shut, breathing heavily, my mind spinning with possibilities. Who was this Brandon? How long had this been going on? And what kind of person was I married to? I heard the front door open just as I stood up. Jessica's voice floated in from the hallway, casual and carefree. Hey babe, I'm back. Did you eat yet? I stepped into the living room, laptop in hand, and waited for her to notice me. When she saw the look on my face, her smile faltered. What's wrong? She asked, her voice just a little too sweet. I held up the laptop. Brandon, who is he? For a moment, Jessica did not move. Then she let out a sigh, her shoulders dropping like I had just told her we were out of milk. Oh, for God's sake, Ryan, are we really doing this again? This is not a game, Jessica. I snapped. I know everything. The emails, the cabin, the goddamn Polaroids. How long have you been lying to me? Her eyes narrowed. And for the first time, I saw something ugly flicker across her face. Annoyance. Not fear. Not guilt. Just irritation. Like I was a child throwing a tantrum. Fine, she said, crossing her arms. You want the truth? Brandon's a friend. Close friend. And yeah, maybe we got closer than we should have. But it's not like it meant anything. It did not mean anything. I repeated, my voice shaking. You've been sneaking around with him for months. Maybe years. And you expect me to believe it did not mean anything? She rolled her eyes, her tone dripping with condescension. Oh, stop being so dramatic. Yuri blowing this way out of proportion. People have flings. It does not mean they do not love their spouses. The audacity of her words knocked the air out of me. I stood there, staring at her, wondering how I had ever loved someone so cold. So calculated. She shrugged, grabbed a glass from the cupboard, and poured herself a drink. If Yuri done playing detective, maybe we can have a civil conversation about this. But I was far from done. Jessica's casual dismissal of everything I just uncovered was the final straw. Her nonchalance was not just disrespectful. It was a slap in the face. She stood there sipping her drink like we were talking about forgetting to take the trash out. Not the fact that she'd been sneaking around behind my back. But I was not letting her off the hook this time. A civil conversation? I repeated, my voice cold. You want to have a civil conversation after I find out you've been screwing around with someone else? You think I'm just going to sit here and pretend this is normal? She sighed, setting her glass down on the counter with deliberate care. Ryan, calm down. Yuri, embarrassing yourself. I already told you. Brandon and I got too close. But it's not like we were running away together. It's done. Over. Can we just move on? Move on. I barked, stepping closer to her. Do you even hear yourself? You do not just get to sweep this under the rug, Jess. You've been lying to me for God knows how long. And you expect me to act like it's nothing. Her eyes flashed. And for the first time, I saw her mask slip. The smugness gave way to something sharper, more dangerous. Fine. She snapped, crossing her arms. You want the whole truth? Here it is. Brandon was there for me when you were not. You've been so wrapped up in your job, your schedules, your stupid routines. Did you even notice how lonely I was? How bored? I blinked, stunned by the venom in her voice. Bored. Yes, bored. She spat. Our marriage has been dead for years, Ryan. You just refuse to see it. So yeah, I found someone who made me feel alive again. Someone who actually listened to me. Her words cut deeper than I thought possible. And instead of talking to me, you decided to sneak around to destroy everything we've built because you were bored. Jessica rolled her eyes again. That same dismissive gesture that made my blood boil. Oh, do not be so melodramatic. People cheat all the time. It's not the end of the world. Grow up. I could not believe what I was hearing. The woman I'd shared my life with, who I thought I knew better than anyone, was standing in front of me, treating this like it was some minor inconvenience. That's your excuse? I said, my voice barely above a whisper. You were bored. So you decided to betray me, to lie to me every single day. She shrugged, as if the answer was obvious. I did not lie about everything. I still love you, Ryan. But you see, not expect me to be perfect. No one is. The room was spinning. Her words, her tone. It was like she was rewriting the rules of reality right in front of me. Then she hit me with the final blow. You know what? Maybe this is a good thing, she said, her voice softening as if she were the reasonable one. Now that it's out in the open, we can finally fix what's broken between us. We can go to therapy, work on things. I do not want to lose you, Ryan. Her audacity was staggering. She did not want to lose me? After all of this? No, I said, shaking my head. You do not get to play the victim here. You do not get to act like this is some wake-up call for both of us. You made this choice. You ruined this. Jessica took a step closer, her voice low and coaxing. Ryan, I know you're angry right now. But think about what we have, everything we've built together. Do not throw it all away over one mistake. One mistake. I shouted, my voice breaking. This is not one mistake, Jessica. It's a pattern. It's a betrayal of everything I thought we stood for. She flinched, finally showing a flicker of discomfort. But it was not enough. Fine, she said, her tone clipped. If that is how you feel, maybe we need some space. You can take a few days, think things through, and we'll talk when you're ready to be reasonable. Reasonable. She said it like I was the one out of line, like I was the one who needed to make amends. I stared at her, my anger turning into something colder. I did not know who this woman was anymore. But one thing was clear. The person I thought I married was long gone. I do not need space, Jessica, I said, my voice steady now. I need the truth. And if you would not give it to me, I'll find it myself. Her eyes narrowed. What's that supposed to mean? It means I'm done trusting you, I said, walking past her and heading toward the front door. You want space? You've got it. But do not think for a second that this is over. As I walked out, I could feel her gaze burning into my back. She did not call after me, did not try to stop me. And for the first time in our marriage, I realized I was not afraid of losing her. I was afraid of what I might find when I dug deeper into the lies she'd been living, that I left the house without any plan. Just the overwhelming need to get away from Jessica and the tangled mess she had turned our marriage into. I drove aimlessly for an hour before pulling into a diner I'd never been to. The kind of place with flickering neon lights and a faded open 24/7 sign. Sitting in a corner booth, I stared at my untouched cup of coffee and tried to make sense of everything. The Polaroids, the emails, her words. People cheat all the time. It was not just the betrayal that knotted me. It was how unapologetic she was, how easily she justified it. I could not stop wondering how deep the lies went. How many other Brandon K.S. had there been? That S when it hit me. I did not just need answers. I needed proof. Jessica had smirked when I confronted her because she thought she could outmaneuver me. She thought she was smarter, slipperier, but I was not going to let her win. I pulled out my phone and started scrolling through my contacts. Jessica might have been the queen of secrets, but there was one person who might know more than she let on. Chelsea, her best friend. Chelsea had always been Jessica's partner in crime. I used to think their bond was endearing, but now I saw it for what it really was, a fortress of secrecy. If Jessica had confided in anyone about her affair, it would be Chelsea. The phone rang twice before Chelsea picked up. Hey Ryan, what's up? Her voice was cheerful, but I could hear the hesitation. She knew something was off. Chelsea, I said, keeping my tone calm. I need to ask you something, and I need you to be honest with me. There was a pause. Sure. What's going on? It's about Jessica, I said. I know about Brandon. I know about the emails, the photos, all of it. What I do not know is how long it's been going on. And I think you do. Another pause, longer this time. When she spoke again, her voice was softer, almost apologetic. Ryan, I do not think it's my place to get involved. I clenched my jaw. Chelsea, I'm not asking you to pick sides. I'm asking you to help me figure out the truth. Please. She sighed. Okay, fine. Look, I do not know all the details, but I do know this is not new. Brandon's been around for a while. At least a year, maybe more. A year. My stomach twisted. Why did not you tell me? I asked, my voice trembling. I did not want to get in the middle of your marriage, she said defensively. And honestly, Jessica told me it was not serious. She said it was just a distraction. Something she needed to feel better, to feel better. I repeated, my voice rising. I'm sorry, Ryan, Chelsea said quickly. I thought she was going to end it. She told me she felt guilty about it. Guilty, that word again, as if her guilt was supposed to absolve her of everything. Do you know where he lives? I asked. What? No, of course not. Chelsea said, sounding alarmed now. Ryan, do not do anything crazy. Just talk to her. Figure this out. Thanks for your help, Chelsea, I said, ending the call before she could respond. I sat there for a long time, staring at my phone. Chelsea's confirmation of the timeline solidified what I already knew. Jessica's betrayal was not a momentary lapse in judgment. It was deliberate, calculated, and ongoing. But I still needed more. Pulling up her emails again, I searched for anything that might lead me to Brandon. Most of the messages were vague, but one caught my eye. A confirmation for a hotel booking from 2 months ago. The name on the reservation was not Jessica S. It was Brandon S. The hotel was only a 2-hour drive away. I felt a surge of adrenaline as I stood up, throwing a 20 on the table and heading for my car. I did not know exactly what I was looking for, but I knew one thing for certain. I was not going to sit back and let Jessica spin her lies anymore. She wanted to play games? Fine. I play. But I was going to find out the truth no matter how ugly it was. The drive to the hotel was a blur. My knuckles turned white against the steering wheel. My mind racing through every possibility of what I might find. What would I even do if Brandon was there? Confront him? Yell? Fight? I had no answers. Only the undeniable pull of needing to see this through. The hotel was an unremarkable chain spot tucked off the highway. The kind of place people stayed for a night, hoping to remain unnoticed. As I pulled into the parking lot, my phone buzzed with a text from Jessica. Hey, where are you? Have not seen you all day. I ignored it. The lobby was quiet when I walked in. The receptionist barely glancing up from her screen. I felt out of place in my jeans and wrinkled shirt, but I did not care. I was a man on a mission and I was not leaving without answers. The email ID found had included the room number 218. I took the stairs 2 at a time, the tension in my chest building with every step. When I reached the door, I hesitated for a moment. My heart pounded so loudly I could hear it in my ears. This was it, the moment where the truth would finally stare me in the face. I knocked, nothing. I knocked again harder this time, still nothing. Part of me wanted to turn around and leave, to walk away before I did something I'd regret. But the stronger part of me, the one that could not let this go, would not back down. I tried the handle, locked, looking up and down the hallway to make sure I was alone. I crouched and peered through the keyhole. At first, I could not make out anything in the dim light, but then I saw it. A suitcase open on the bed, clothes spilling out. Someone had been here recently. The sound of the elevator, dinging behind me, snapped me out of my trance. I turned just in time to see a man stepping out. A man who matched the face in the Polaroid photos. It was him, Brandon. He froze when he saw me. His expression shifting from confusion to recognition in an instant. You read Brandon, I said. My voice low and steady. He did not respond. But the way his jaw tightened was all the confirmation I needed. I think we need to talk, I said, stepping closer. I do not know who you are, man, he said, his voice defensive. You do not. I scoffed. That is funny. Because you've been spending a lot of time with my wife. His face paled, and for a second I thought he might bolt. But then he squared his shoulders, trying to regain his composure. Look, I did not know she was married, he said, raising his hands in mock surrender. She told me you guys were separated. I laughed bitterly. Separated? Is that what she told you? He hesitated, then nodded. Yeah, she said things were over between you two. That you were just living together for convenience. Convenience? The word made my stomach churn. Well, she lied, I said sharply. And now you're going to tell me everything. Brandon's eyes darted to the staircase, weighing his chances of escape. I stepped closer, cutting off his path. I do not want to fight you, I said, I just want the truth. How long has this been going on? He sighed, glancing down at his feet. About a year, he admitted reluctantly. We met at some work event. Started casual, but I do not know, man. She made it seem like she was not happy with you. Like she needed someone who actually cared. His words hit like a punch to the gut. But I refused to let it show. And you believed her? She is a good liar, he muttered. No kidding, I said dryly. We stood there in tense silence for a moment. The weight of the situation settling between us. Finally, I broke it. Does your wife know? I asked, my voice cold. Brandon flinched, confirming what I already suspected. Yeah, I said, stepping back. I figured as much. She is married too. Is not she? He did not respond. But the guilt in his eyes was answer enough. I think we're done here, I said, my voice dripping with contempt. Go back to your room, Brandon. And stay the hell away from my wife. He did not argue. Without another word, he brushed past me and disappeared down the hallway. As I stood there alone, the adrenaline that had been fueling me began to fade, leaving me feeling hollow. I had my answers, but they did not bring the closure I'd hoped for. If anything, they left me with more questions. What kind of person had Jessica become? And why had it taken me this long to see it? When I got back home, it was late. The house was dark, except for a dim light glowing from the living room. Jessica was curled up on the couch, her laptop on her knees, the same casual nonchalance plastered across her face. She did not even look up when I walked in. Nice of you to finally show up, she said, her tone laced with sarcasm. I did not respond. Instead, I tossed my keys on the counter and walked into the kitchen, pouring myself a glass of water to steady my nerves. I could feel her eyes on me now, curious, maybe even suspicious. Where were you? She asked, her voice sharper this time. I turned to face her, leaning against the counter. I met Brandon, I said flatly. The words hung in the air like a bomb waiting to detonate. Jessica froze, her fingers hovering over the keyboard. For the first time, I saw a crack in her composure. She slowly closed the laptop and set it aside. You what? She asked, her voice carefully controlled. I went to the hotel, I said, stepping closer. The one where you two like to play house. And guess who I ran into on his way back to his room? Her face paled, but she quickly masked it with a defiant smirk. You unbelievable, she said, shaking her head, spying on me now. Really, Ryan, do not turn this on me. I snapped, my voice rising. You've been lying to my face for over a year, sneaking around with a married man. And I'm the bad guy for wanting answers. Jessica stood, crossing her arms defensively. I told you it was over. Whatever happened between me and Brandon, it's done. You're the one dragging this out, making it bigger than it needs to be. Bigger than it needs to be? I said, incredulous. Do you even hear yourself? You cheated on me, Jessica. You did not just betray me. You destroyed the trust we built, the life we built. And you do not even seem sorry. Her expression hardened. Oh, please do not act like you were some perfect husband. You were always so focused on your work, your plans, your damn schedules. I felt invisible, Ryan. Forgotten. And instead of talking to me, you decided to blow up our marriage? I shot back. You did not even give me a chance to fix things. You just ran to the first guy who gave you attention. Jessica laughed bitterly, shaking her head. You think this is all my fault? You think I wanted things to end up like this? Maybe if you had paid a little more attention, I would not have felt the need to look elsewhere. Her words were like gasoline on a fire. Do not you dare put this on me? I said, my voice dangerously low. You made a choice. You lied. You cheated. And now you're trying to rewrite history to make yourself the victim. But guess what, Jessica? You're not. She opened her mouth to respond. But I was not done. I talked to Brandon. I continued, my tone icy. And you know what he told me? He did not even know you were still married. You fed him the same lies you've been feeding me. And his wife, yeah, she's gonna find out too. I'm done protecting you. Her eyes widened for a fraction of a second before narrowing into a glare. You would not, she said, her voice trembling with anger. Watch me. I said, my jaw clenched. For a moment, we just stood there, staring each other down. The silence between us filled with years of resentment and betrayal. Then Jessica did something I did not expect. She laughed, not a nervous laugh, not a regretful laugh, a cold mocking laugh that sent chills down my spine. You think you're so righteous? She said, her voice dripping with venom. But you're not as innocent as you like to pretend, Ryan. You've made your fair share of mistakes too. Do not forget that. Whatever I've done, I said firmly. I've never betrayed you. I've never lied to you. And I sure as hell have never treated you the way you've treated me. She rolled her eyes and picked up her laptop. Fine, if you want to play the martyr, go ahead. But do not expect me to grovel at your feet. I'm not sorry for finding someone who actually made me feel alive again. Her words hit me like a slap, but they also solidified something in me. Something that had been building since the moment I found that box in the garage. I hope he was worth it, I said quietly, turning toward the stairs. Where are you going? She called after me, her tone dismissive. To bed, I said without looking back. And tomorrow, I'm calling a lawyer. Her silence followed me up the stairs. And for the first time in years, I felt like I was taking control of my life again. But as I lay awake that night, staring at the ceiling, I could not shake the feeling that this was not the end. Jessica was not the type to go down quietly. And I had a sinking suspicion that the worst was still to come. The next morning, I woke up early, exhausted, but resolute. Jessica was nowhere to be seen. And for once, I was grateful. I sat in the quiet kitchen, nursing a cup of coffee, staring at the blank screen of my laptop. Every logical part of me told me to focus on one thing, contacting a lawyer. But Jessica was not predictable. She was cunning. And I knew her well enough to expect retaliation. By 9 a.m., I had a consultation scheduled with a divorce attorney named Helen Gray. She came highly recommended, efficient, discreet, and, from what I'd heard, an absolute bulldog in court. As I dialed her office, Jessica walked in, already dressed and radiating smug confidence. "Oh, look at you," she said, glancing at my laptop. "Big plans today, Ryan?" I ignored her, holding up a finger as Helen's assistant picked up the call. "Hi. I'd like to schedule an appointment with Ms. Gray. It's urgent." Jessica tilted her head, clearly eavesdropping. Her smirk deepening as the assistant confirmed a time slot for later that afternoon. When I ended the call, she finally spoke. "You really going through with this, huh?" she said, crossing her arms. "Yes," I said firmly. "I'm done playing your games, Jessica." For a moment, her smirk faltered. But instead of backing down, she doubled down. "Fine," she said, pulling out her phone and scrolling with exaggerated nonchalance. "Two can play this game. Let us see how much you enjoy it when the tables are turned." "What the hell are you talking about?" I asked, my patience wearing thin. Jessica looked up, her eyes gleaming with malicious glee. "Oh, do not act so innocent, Ryan. You think I'm the only one with secrets? Let us not forget all those late nights at the office. Or that trip to Chicago where you forgot to call me for 3 days. I stared at her stunned. "You grasping at straws, Jessica. You know damn well I've never cheated on you." "Maybe not," she said with a shrug. "But do you really think it matters? In court, perception is everything. And you know how good I am at spinning a story." Her words sent a chill down my spine. I'd underestimated just how far she was willing to go to protect herself. "You unbelievable," I said, shaking my head. "Even now, you see I not take responsibility for what you've done." "Responsibility?" she shot back, her voice rising. "I'm not the one trying to blow up our lives over a fling. You the one who is acting like a saint. But let us not pretend you perfect. You boring, Ryan. Predictable. And maybe if you put half as much effort into this marriage as you do into your pity party, we would not be here." The venom in her voice was shocking. But it also gave me clarity. Jessica was not trying to save our marriage. She was trying to control the narrative. "Well, good luck spinning that story," I said, standing up and grabbing my keys. "I'm not afraid of the truth, Jessica. You should be." As I walked out the door, I could hear her muttering something under her breath. But I did not care. I had bigger things to worry about. The meeting with Helen was a wake-up call. She was sharp, direct, and brutally honest. "Ryan," she said, leaning forward in her chair, "this is going to get messy. If your wife is as manipulative as you've described, she is not going to make this easy. You need to be prepared for a fight." "I am," I said, though my voice wavered slightly. "Good," Helen said. "First, we need to gather evidence. You mentioned photos, emails, and the hotel booking. Get me copies of everything. Second, be ready for her to retaliate. If she's vindictive, she'll dig for anything she can use against you. She already is, I admitted, recounting Jessica's accusations from earlier. Helen nodded knowingly. Classic move. Do not engage with her. Let her dig her own grave. Just focus on protecting yourself. I left her office feeling a mix of dread and determination. Jessica had underestimated me for too long, but I was not going to let her walk away unscathed. When I got home, the first thing I noticed was the smell of Jessica's perfume. A sign she'd been in every room, leaving her mark like a predator staking its territory. On the kitchen counter, a piece of paper sat neatly folded. I opened it, my stomach tightening as I read her scrawled handwriting. If you want a war, Ryan, you've got one. Do not say I did not warn you. For a moment, I just stood there, the paper trembling in my hands. Jessica was not backing down. She was escalating. And as much as I hated to admit it, part of me respected her audacity. But if she thought I'd roll over and let her rewrite the story, she did not know me at all. I grabbed the note, crumpled it in my fist, and made my way to the garage. There was still one card I had not played yet. The box of memories. If Jessica wanted war, I was going to give her one she would not forget. Jessica's note felt like a declaration of war, and I was not about to be caught off guard. If she wanted to play dirty, I'd match her move for move. I grabbed the box of memories from the garage and hauled it into the house, dumping its contents onto the dining table. The Polaroids, the receipts, the cheap necklace, all of it spread out like a crime scene. It was not just evidence. It was a window into the double life Jessica had been living. I took photos of everything, cataloging each piece like an investigator building a case. The handwritten note from Brandon was especially damning. And as I stared at the words, a twisted idea began to take shape in my mind. If Jessica wanted to manipulate the narrative, I'd decontrol it before she could. The next morning, I sent Brandon a carefully worded text. We need to talk. I have an offer you might want to hear. It's in both of our best interests. He replied an hour later, What kind of offer? Meet me. I texted back. You would not regret it. We met at a quiet coffee shop on the edge of town. Brandon looked uneasy. His hands shoved deep into his jacket pockets. When he spotted me, he hesitated before sliding into the chair across from me. What do you want? He asked, his voice low. Relax, I said, leaning back in my seat. I'm not here to fight. I'm here to make a deal. His brow furrowed, but he did not respond. I took that as a cue to continue. I know about you and Jessica, I said plainly. I know about the emails, the hotel bookings, the whole mess. And I know your wife does not know yet. Brandon's face paled. What are you trying to say? I'm saying we both have something to lose here, I said, my tone calm but firm. Jessica is already trying to spin this into some twisted narrative where I'm the bad guy. She'll throw both of us under the bus to save herself if it comes to that. But if we work together, we can make sure she does not get the chance. Brandon frowned, clearly torn. What exactly are you proposing? Simple, I said. You tell me everything. Every lie she has told you. Every time she has tried to manipulate you. In exchange, I'll keep your name out of the legal side of things. Your wife does not need to find out, and you walk away clean. Brandon sat back, running a hand through his hair. This is insane, he muttered. Is it accounted? Think about it. Jessica's already proven she does not care about loyalty. Not to me, not to you. Do you really want to risk her throwing you under the bus when this all blows up? He did not answer right away. But the look in his eyes told me he was considering it. After a long pause, he leaned forward. Fine, he said. What do you want to know? The conversation that followed was a revelation. Brandon confirmed everything I suspected. And more. Jessica had not just been lying to me. She'd been lying to him, too. She'd spun a tale about being trapped in a loveless marriage, painting herself as the victim to justify her actions. She'd even hinted at wanting to leave me, though she never followed through. She said you would not let her go, Brandon admitted, his voice tinged with bitterness. That you'd make her life hell if she tried to leave. I laughed, the sound bitter and hollow. Of course she did. That's her favorite game. Making herself the victim. Brandon nodded, then hesitated. Look, man, I'm sorry. I did not know the full story. If I had, it does not matter now, I said, cutting him off. What matters is stopping her from pulling the same crap in court. By the time we finished, I had a clear picture of Jessica's manipulations. Brandon even gave me copies of texts and emails she'd sent him. Evidence that painted a very different picture than the one she'd tried to sell in court. When I got home, Jessica was waiting for me in the living room. Her arms crossed and her expression icy. Where have you been? She demanded. Out, I said shortly, brushing past her. She followed me into the kitchen, her voice rising. Do not you walk away from me, Ryan. If we were going to fight about this, let us get it over with. I turned to face her, meeting her glare with a calmness that seemed to throw her off. Fight, I said, raising an eyebrow. There's nothing to fight about, Jessica. I've already made my decision. I've talked to a lawyer and I've got everything I need to move forward. You've lost. Her face hardened. Lost? You think this is a game? No, I said quietly. But you've been playing it like one. And now it's over. Jessica stared at me, her jaw tightening as she realized I was not bluffing. For the first time, I saw fear flicker in her eyes. You think you're so clever? She said, her voice trembling with anger. But you do not know what you've just started. Maybe not, I said, stepping closer. But I know one thing for sure, you're not in control anymore. I am. As I walked away, I felt the weight of months, maybe years of manipulation finally lifting. Jessica could fight, claw and scheme all she wanted, but I was not backing down. She wanted a war. Now she had one. Jessica's fear did not last long. By the next morning, she was back to her old self, arrogant, sharp-tongued, and ready to counter every move I made. Over breakfast, she played the perfect picture of calm, sipping her coffee while scrolling through her phone. I could feel her watching me out of the corner of her eye, like a lion stalking its prey. You know, she finally said, breaking the silence. I've been thinking maybe you're right. Maybe this marriage is over. I did not look up from my plate. Glad we agree on something. Her smile was small, almost pitying. It's funny though. You seem so confident like you've already won. But you're forgetting one little thing. I raised an eyebrow. Oh, what's that? Perception, she said, leaning back in her chair. You might think you have the upper hand, but in court it's not about what's true. It's about what people believe. And let us face it, Ryan, you've never exactly been a people person. Her words were meant to rattle me, but instead, they clarified my resolve. She was banking on her charm, her ability to manipulate. She thought she could spin this into a sob story, paint herself as the victim while I came off as the cold, detached husband. She had no idea what I had in store. That afternoon, Helen and I met to review everything. I handed over the photos, the emails, and Brandon's texts. Every piece of evidence that showed Jessica's true nature. This is solid, Helen said, nodding as she flipped through the stack of papers. But it's not just about proving she cheated. If we want to win, we need to discredit her entirely. Show the court who she really is. How do we do that? I asked. Helen smirked. We turn her tactics against her. She's manipulative, right? A liar? Let us show that to the judge. She wants to control the narrative, fine. We'll rewrite it. The next few days were a whirlwind. I focused on gathering everything Helen needed while Jessica ramped up her own campaign. She started dropping little comments whenever we were in the same room, planting seeds of doubt. Hope you're ready for what's coming, she'd say with a smirk. Or you think you're so clever, but I know things about you that could ruin you. First, I ignored her. But one evening, she crossed the line. I was in the living room, reviewing notes from Helen, when Jessica waltzed in, holding her phone like it was a weapon. You know, she said, her tone casual. Brandon told me you've been harassing him, showing up at his hotel, threatening him. That's not going to look good for you, Ryan. I laughed, the sound sharp and humorless. Harassing him? Funny. Because he's the one who gave me everything I need to prove you've been lying to both of us. Her smirk faltered. What are you talking about? I stood, closing the gap between us. Brandon was more than happy to throw you under the bus once he realized how much you'd lied to him. I have the texts, the emails, everything. So go ahead, spin your little story. But when the truth comes out, you'll be the one left with nothing. Jessica's face twisted with fury. You bastard. She hissed. And you're a liar. I shot back. But the difference is, I can prove it. For the first time, Jessica seemed genuinely rattled. She backed away, her usual confidence replaced by something closer to desperation. This is not over, she said, her voice shaking. Oh, I know. I said, my voice calm, but it will be. And when it is, you'll wish you'd played this differently. That night, the house was eerily quiet. Jessica did not try to provoke me again, but I could feel the tension in the air. She was plotting something. I could see it in her eyes. Around midnight, as I lay in bed, my phone buzzed. I frowned, sitting up and grabbing it from the nightstand. It was a message from an unknown number. You need to talk to me. Now, it's about Jessica. I stared at the screen, my heart pounding. Who the hell was this? Another message came through before I could respond. It's Brandon's wife. For a moment, I could not breathe. Brandon's wife? How had she gotten my number? And why was she reaching out now? I texted back quickly. What do you want? Her reply was immediate. The truth. Meet me tomorrow, 10 a.m. At the park on 5th. Do not tell Jessica. I stared at the message, my mind racing. This could be a trap. Or it could be exactly what I needed to finish what Jessica had started. Either way, I was going to find out. The next morning, I arrived at the park on 5th Street early, sitting on a bench with a clear view of the entrance. My heart raced as I scanned every passerby, waiting for someone who might fit the bill of Brandon's wife. 10.05, she appeared. She was younger than I expected. Maybe late 20s, with sharp features and tired eyes that gave away the weight she was carrying. She wore a long coat despite the mild weather. And as she approached, her gaze locked onto mine with an intensity that made my stomach churn. Ryan? She asked, her voice steady but guarded. I nodded. And you're Brandon's wife? Lila? She said, extending a hand. Her grip was firm but cold. We sat on the bench, an awkward silence stretching between us as she fidgeted with her purse. Finally, she pulled out her phone and handed it to me. Read this, she said. I hesitated before scrolling through the messages on her screen. They were between her and Brandon. Long threads of arguments, apologies, and finally the bombshells. One message stood out. I need to tell you something. I've been seeing someone. Her name is Jessica. My breath caught as I kept reading. I thought she was different. But she lied about everything. About her husband. About their marriage. She's manipulating all of us. I handed the phone back. My hands trembling. So you know everything? I said quietly. Lila nodded, her jaw tightening. Enough to realize I'd been played. By him and by her. For a moment neither of us spoke. Then she turned to me, her eyes blazing with determination. What are you planning to do? She asked. Divorce. I said simply. I'm already working with a lawyer. I've got evidence, photos, emails, texts. Jessica's not getting out of this clean. Lila nodded slowly. Good. Because I'm not letting Brandon off the hook either. He's been feeding me lies for years. And I'm done. Her words gave me a strange sense of solidarity. We were strangers brought together by betrayal. But in that moment, it felt like we were on the same team. Why did you reach out to me? I asked. Because Jessica called Brandon last night. She said, her voice tight. My chest tightened. What did she say? She asked, panicking. Lila replied. Told him she's afraid you're going to ruin her life. She begged him to keep quiet, to stick to her version of the story if this goes to court. Jessica's manipulation knew no bounds. Even now, she was trying to control the narrative, pulling Brandon's strings to cover her tracks. What do you want from me? I asked. Lila hesitated. Then leaned in closer. I want her exposed. Both of them, if I'm being honest. But Jessica, she's the real puppet master here. I've been digging through Brandon's emails and, well, take a look. She handed me her phone again, this time opening a folder of saved emails. What I saw made my blood run cold. There were messages from Jessica to Brandon that went far beyond what I'd uncovered. Conversations about how to handle me. About using their affair as leverage to secure her freedom. One message was especially damning. Ryan does not suspect a thing. If we play this right, I'll come out on top. I'll handle him. You just stay quiet. She's a predator. Lila said, her voice shaking with anger. She used him just like she's using you. And I want her to pay for it. We spent the next hour sharing details. Piecing together the timeline of Jessica's lies and Brandon's complicity. Lila even agreed to testify if it came to that, though I assured her I'd tried to keep her involvement to a minimum. As we wrapped up, Lila stood and gave me a long, searching look. Ryan, she said, her voice softening. I'm sorry you're going through this, but I'm glad we're not letting them get away with it. Me too, I said, offering a small grim smile. She nodded and walked away, her figure disappearing into the crowd. When I got home, Jessica was waiting for me in the kitchen. Her arms crossed and her expression stormy. Where the hell were you? She demanded. I did not answer. Instead, I dropped my bag on the counter and met her glare with a calm, steady gaze. I know everything, Jessica, I said quietly, every lie, every manipulation. I've got the proof. And so does Lila. Her face blanched at the mention of Lila's name. Lila, she whispered, her voice barely audible. That's right, I said, stepping closer. Brandon's wife, she knows about you, about him, about everything. Jessica's composure cracked, panic flashing across her face. Ryan, wait. No, I said, cutting her off. You do not get to talk your way out of this. You've spent years lying to me, tearing apart everything we built. And for what? For this. She opened her mouth to respond. But no words came out. This ends now, I said firmly. You want a war? You've got one. But trust me, Jessica, you've already lost. For the first time, Jessica looked truly defeated. Her shoulders sagged. Her eyes darting away from mine as she muttered, You do not understand. Oh, I understand perfectly, I said, my voice cold. And so will the judge. As I walked out of the room, leaving her standing there in silence, I felt something I had not felt in months. Power. Jessica's web of lies was unraveling. And this time, she had nowhere to hide. Jessica did not take defeat lightly. By the next morning, she had transformed into someone I barely recognized. Desperate, erratic, and cornered. She was pacing the kitchen when I walked downstairs. Her hair tied back haphazardly. Her phone clutched tightly in her hand. You've been talking to her, have not you? She said the moment she saw me. I did not bother playing coy. Yes, Lila and I compared notes. Turns out you've been lying to both of us. Jessica let out a bitter laugh, shaking her head. You're unbelievable, Ryan. Teaming up with her. You do not even know her. And I did not know you either, apparently. I shot back. Her face twisted in frustration. Do you even realize what you're doing? You're blowing up everything we've built. For what? To feel like you've won. No, Jessica, I said, my voice cold. I'm not doing this to win. I'm doing this because I finally see you for who you are. She slammed her phone down on the counter. Oh, cut the righteous act. You're no saint, Ryan. You've spent our entire marriage putting yourself on some pedestal. Acting like you're so much better than me. News flash. You re not. Maybe not, I said, stepping closer. But I never lied to you. I never betrayed you. And I sure as hell never tried to destroy you the way you've destroyed me. Her hands balled into fists at her sides. You want the truth? Fine. You were boring, Ryan. Predictable. Safe. I needed more. And yeah, I made mistakes. But at least I was honest with myself about what I wanted. Honest with yourself? I scoffed. You're not honest with anyone. Not with Brandon, not with Lila, and certainly not with me. Jessica opened her mouth to respond. But her phone buzzed on the counter, cutting her off. She glanced at the screen, her eyes narrowing. Who is it? I asked. She did not answer. Quickly swiping the screen and turning away. You see, not even stop lying now, I said, my voice sharp. Let me guess. It's Brandon, is not it? What's he saying this time? Telling you to stick to the script. Her shoulders stiffened. And she whirled around to face me. You do not know what you're talking about. Do not I? I said, stepping closer. I know you've been trying to get him to cover for you. I know you've been begging him to keep quiet. But guess what, Jessica? He's done with you, just like I am. Her face crumpled for a moment before hardening into a mask of defiance. You think this is over? She said, her voice trembling with rage. You have no idea what I'm capable of, Ryan. If you think you're going to walk away from this unscathed, you're dead wrong. Threats will not work anymore, I said firmly. Not with me and not with anyone else. You're out of moves, Jessica. She let out a humorless laugh, shaking her head. You really think you're going to come out of this looking like the hero? Please, the courts do not care about your sob story. They care about facts. And I've got plenty of those to paint you as the cold, inattentive husband who pushed me away. I crossed my arms, unshaken. Go ahead, try. But I've got the texts, the emails, the receipts, and now I've got Lila, too. You would not spin your way out of this. Jessica's face turned pale. And for the first time, I saw true fear in her eyes. You're bluffing, she said. But her voice lacked conviction. You know I'm not, I said, holding her gaze. She backed away, shaking her head. You do not understand, Ryan. If you go through with this, you'll destroy me. I felt a flicker of pity, but I pushed it down. She had made her choices, and now she was facing the consequences. I did not destroy you, Jessica. I said quietly, you did that to yourself. That afternoon, I sent Helen everything Lila had shared. The emails, the texts, and the damning proof of Jessica's manipulation. With Lila's testimony, we had a case so strong it would be nearly impossible for Jessica to fight. Helen was impressed. This is airtight, she said. Once we present this, Jessica will not have a leg to stand on. Her words were a relief. But they also carried a finality that hit me hard. This was not just about winning a legal battle. It was the end of everything I had once believed in. When I returned home that evening, the house was eerily silent. Jessica's car was gone, and a part of me wondered if she'd left for good. But as I walked into the living room, I noticed something on the coffee table. A single envelope with my name scrawled on the front. I picked it up, my hands trembling slightly, and opened it. Inside was a letter written in Jessica's familiar handwriting. Ryan, you think you've won, but this is not over. I'll make sure you regret this. Watch your back. The message was chilling, but it did not scare me. If anything, it solidified my resolve. Jessica might have been relentless, but so was I. This was not a war anymore. It was a reckoning. It had been weeks since I received Jessica's chilling letter. The divorce process was underway. And Helen assured me we had everything we needed to crush any argument Jessica might make. Brandon's cooperation, Lila's testimony, and the mountain of evidence I'd collected painted a picture so clear even Jessica's charm could not save her. Jessica had gone quiet since that day. Too quiet. I was on edge waiting for her next move. But nothing came, no texts, no surprise confrontations. Just silence. It was unsettling. Like the calm before a storm. Then 9 years to the day since we stood in front of friends and family exchanging vows, my phone rang. The number was unknown. I hesitated, my thumb hovering over the decline button. But something told me to answer. "Hello?" I said cautiously. For a moment there was silence. Then a voice I had not expected to hear spoke. Low and hesitant. "Ryan." It was Jessica. I felt my stomach tighten. My grip on the phone tightening. "What do you want?" I asked coldly. There was a long pause on the other end. Then a shaky breath. I need to talk to you." "Talk," I said, my voice hardening. "After everything you've done, you think I want to hear anything you have to say?" "Please," she said, her voice cracking. "This is not about us. It's about him, Brandon." My heart raced, suspicion and curiosity battling for dominance. "What about him?" Jessica hesitated again. Then finally blurted it out. "He married Ryan. He lied to me too. Everything he said. It was all lies." I let out a bitter laugh, shaking my head even though she could not see me. "And what? You expect me to feel sorry for you? You're just now realizing what kind of man you were sneaking around with." "No," she said quickly. "I do not expect anything from you. I do not know what to do. He would not leave me alone." Her words caught me off guard. "What do you mean would not leave you alone?" Jessica's voice dropped to a whisper, as if she was afraid someone might overhear. "He's been calling me, texting me, showing up at my work. He's obsessed, Ryan." I leaned back in my chair, trying to process what she was saying. "And why exactly are you telling me this?" "Because I do not know who else to turn to," she admitted. "You're the only person who knows the whole story." I let out a slow breath, anger and disbelief swirling inside me. "So let me get this straight. You cheated on me with a married man, lied to both of us. And now that it's backfiring, you're coming to me for help? Are you hearing yourself, Jessica?" "I know," she said, her voice barely audible. "I know how this sounds, but I do not have anyone else. Ryan, please, I'm scared." Her fear sounded real. And for a moment, I felt a pang of pity. But then I remembered everything she'd done. Every lie, every betrayal, every ounce of pain she'd caused. "This is your mess, Jessica," I said, my voice cold. "You made your choices. Now you get to deal with the consequences." She did not respond right away. And for a moment, I thought she'd hung up. But then she spoke, her voice trembling. "You're right," she said, "I deserve this. But I'm sorry, Ryan, for everything, for what I did to you. I know it does not change anything, but I needed to say it." Her words hung in the air. And I felt a strange mix of emotions. Anger, sadness, and unexpectedly, a small sense of closure. "I do not forgive you," I said finally. "But I hope you figure out how to fix your life. Just do not drag me into it anymore." There was silence on the other end, then a quiet goodbye. "Ryan." And then the line went dead. As I sat there, staring at the phone, I felt an overwhelming sense of finality. Jessica's call was not just an apology. It was the last thread of our broken marriage snapping for good. For the first time in months, I felt free. Jessica had called me after 9 years of marriage, 9 years of lies, to admit her defeat. She had been broken by the very games she'd played. And while part of me wanted to take satisfaction in that, another part of me simply felt tired. I stood up, walked to the window, and stared out at the world beyond. It felt like a new beginning. One I had not chosen, but was finally ready to embrace. Jessica's war was over. And I had won not by fighting back, but by walking away.